Hello, dear friends. Time is an a priori form of insensibility. Every day I am more and more convinced of this definition of the Prussian philosopher Immanuel Kant. In my opinion, reality would be an eternal circular present where everything repeats itself continuously. The most important thing would be not only to build a positive future, but also to change the negative past, and that is what I try to do every day. Opinion article. Did Nicola Tesla travel in time? He worked on a time machine. He said he found a window. In quotes, I was able to see the past, the present, and the future. Magnetism affects space and time. Dogecoin soars 600% in a week. A steady rise in gold and silver prices. G7 wants to regulate cryptocurrency harshly. NASA chooses SpaceX for its next named lunar mission. Pentagon confirms pyramid-shaped UFO videos are authentic. Let's start. Apparently, Nicola Tesla was also obsessed with time travel like many other scientists. Time is a physical magnitude that makes it possible to order the sequence of events, establishing a past, a present, and a future, and whose unit in the international system is the second. Tesla worked on a time machine and reportedly succeeded, saying, in quotes, I could see the past, present, and future at the same time. The idea that humans can travel throughout time has captured the imagination of millions of people around the world. If we look back in history, we will find several texts that can be interpreted as evidence of time travel. Not long ago, a team of scientists at the University of Queensland, Australia, simulated how time-traveling photons might behave, indicating that at least on a quantum level, the grandfather paradox, which demonstrates how time travel is not possible, can be solved. Using photons, individual particles of light, the researchers simulated quantum particles traveling into the past. After studying their behaviors, the researchers revealed possible anomalous aspects of modern physics. Discovery. However, it appears that Nikola Tesla may have been working on time travel before modern science thought it was possible. According to reports, in 1895, Tesla made a shocking discovery suggesting that time and space could be influenced by magnetic fields. Apparently, this idea that one could alter time and space by means of magnetic fields led to a series of experiments that supposedly gave rise to the infamous Philadelphia Project, which is mainly considered a failed experiment. Tesla is believed to have worked on the idea of time travel, discovering astonishing results along the way. Using magnetic fields, Tesla discovered that the space-time barrier could be altered and accessed by creating a Trojan horse that ultimately led to a different time. However, it is still unclear whether Tesla actually accomplished this or not, as there are no documents to prove, or for that matter, disprove that anything like this happened. All we know is that reports claim that in 1895, a witness found Tesla in a small coffee shop looking agitated and disturbed. His assistant claimed that Tesla was almost electrocuted by a machine when Tesla was trying to solve the riddle of time travel. After almost dying, Tesla claimed that he found he had found himself in a completely different window of time and space, where he could see the past, present, and future at the same time, while remaining inside an artificially created magnetic field. Unfortunately, there are no documents to support this claim. However, if Tesla did attempt time travel, he was probably not the only scientist to try it. Digital currencies. Digital euro begins to take shape. The promised digital euro has begun to take shape this week, and signals from Frankfurt may offer some relief to nervous commercial banks worried about being left out of the latest development. Bitcoin could be outlawed. Money will become increasingly digitized, according to Jim Rogers, investor, best-selling author and co-founder of the Quantum Fund, but governments wouldn't let Bitcoin take away their monopoly. At the same time, the analyst opined that the dollar is no longer capable of exercising its function as a global reserve currency and will soon be replaced by something else. G7 to regulate cryptocurrencies. New crypto regulations could prove brutal for Bitcoin. Europe's largest active asset manager has warned that the new cryptocurrency regulations could initially prove brutal for the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. In his view, the G7 regulators are determined to regulate cryptocurrencies, and such regulation is likely to initially lead to a possible brutal adjustment in their price, meaning they would lose half their value. The Dogecoin soars 600% in a week and sets off alarms about the formation of a bubble. This cryptocurrency, emerged as a joke, has slipped into the top 5 cryptocurrencies by market value. The value of Dogecoin, the cryptocurrency based on the meme of a Shiba Inu dog barking at the moon, is experiencing a stratospheric takeoff with a growth of over 600% recorded in 1 week and 200 in the last 24 hours, according to data from CoinMarketCap. Coinbase concludes first day of trading surpassing 100 billion in capitalization. Coinbase concluded its first day of trading with a share price of $328, which equates to a 31% gain over Nasdaq's benchmark price of $250. Economy. Continued rise in gold and silver prices. Gold could be on the verge of another rally as it breaks above the key resistance levels and moves towards 1,800 an ounce. Analysts say short-term technical positions in both gold and silver have improved markedly this week. The depreciation of the US dollar in the currency market and rising crude oil prices this week have also given confidence to bulls in the metals market. Stocks hit record highs on rising bank earnings. The S&P 500 and Dow Jones hit record highs Friday after Morgan Stanley closed up bumper quarterly earnings reports from big banks, while optimism about a solid economic rebound put big major indexes on track for weekly gains. Disconnect between the Dow Jones and the Nasdaq. Wide divergences between the Dow Jones and the Nasdaq Composite have become almost commonplace, where previously they were not. This does not send a good signal, according to analyst Mark Halbert, who forecast a bleaker outlook that many expected based on this disparity between the two indexes. For starters, it became quite likely that the market top on some significance would be reached. Morgan Stanley discloses $911 million loss. Morgan Stanley lost nearly $1 billion from the collapse of family office Archegos Capital Management, the bank said Friday, clouding its 150% rise in first quarter profit that was driven by a boom in trading and trading. Oil slips but secures weekly gains. Oil closed modestly lower on Friday but secured a weekly gain due to a stronger demand outlook and signs of economic recovery in China and the US that countered concerns about rising infections in other major economies. European Union countries press Brussels to approve recovery plans. European Union governments want the European Commission to speed up the assessment of their national plans to use recovery fund aid, but no country has yet sent theirs to Brussels, with 2 weeks to go before the original deadline for doing so. Technology. NASA picks SpaceX for its new named lunar mission. NASA selected SpaceX to land its first astronauts on the moon's surface since 1972, the US Space Agency said Friday, marking a huge win for Elon Musk's company. The $2.9 billion contract covers the Starship prototype spacecraft being tested at the SpaceX South Texas facility. The Elon Musk's futuristic Las Vegas traffic systems fails to live up to expectations. Elon Musk's futuristic Las Vegas traffic circuit has drawn criticism for failing to live up to the entrepreneur's lofty promises. The $55 million truck, which was built by Musk's The Boring Company, promised to take passengers in driverless Tesla cars at speeds of up to 150 miles per hour. This would turn in a 50-minute walk in a short 2-minute ride, but the actual system took vehicles that were driven by humans throughout a colorful tunnel at a measly 35 miles per hour. Roger Stone sued over unpaid taxes. The U.S. Justice Department sued Roger Stone on Friday, saying he close ally of former President Trump owes about $2 million in unpaid federal income taxes. Chinese four-legged robot sparks speculations that its maker stole U.S. technology. China's Unitary Robotics developed a four-legged robot that resembled the robotic dog debuted by engineering firm Boston Dynamics in 2015. Unitary unveiled its machine at the Consumer Electronics Show 2020 held in Las Vegas in January last year. Russia expels 10 U.S. diplomats. Russia on Friday ordered 10 U.S. diplomats to leave the country in a retaliation for Washington's expulsion of the same number of Russian diplomats from alleged malign activity and suggested that the U.S. ambassador return home for consultations. Czech Republic expels 18 Russian diplomats. The Czech Republic is 18 Russian diplomats from the country on suspicion of espionage. Czech Deputy Prime Minister and Acting Foreign Minister Jan Hamáček said. He indicated that the 18 Russian embassy employees have 48 hours to leave the country. Russia beefs up Black Sea warship presence as Ukraine tensions simmer. 2 Russian warships transited the Bosphorus en route to the Black Sea on Saturday, and 15 smaller vessels completed the transfer to the sea as Moscow strengthens its naval presence at a time of strained relations with the West and Ukraine. The reinforcement coincides with a large buildup of Russian troops near Ukraine, something Moscow calls a temporary defensive exercise, and follows an escalation in fighting in eastern Ukraine between Russian-backed separatists and Ukrainian government forces. Soyuz MS-17 spacecraft with 3 crew on board lands in Kazakh steppe. Russia's named Soyuz MS-17 spacecraft landed safely early Saturday morning in the Kazakh steppe, according to images released live by Russia's space agency Roscosmos. Excuse me. Pentagon confirms pyramid-shaped UFO videos are authentic. The Pentagon has confirmed as authentic a series of images and videos of unidentified flying objects recorded by the US Navy, although many refer to the mysterious sightings in our skies as UFOs. The more current modern term used in US national security circles is Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, UAP, and they are something the intelligence community is taking very seriously, according to Esoteric Paranormal World website. United States. US deploys National Guard F-16 fighter jets to Saudi Arabia simultaneously. Simultaneously, Washington approved military sales of another $23 billion to the United Arab Emirates, despite Joe Biden's strong criticism of both nations since last year. The Pentagon deployed about 300 military personnel and a determined number of F-16 fighter jets from the 169 Fighter Wing in South Carolina to Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia, according to a statement from the South Carolina Air National Guard. US says it is ready to defend Japan even with nuclear weapons. US officials have stressed that they are ready to protect Japan even with nuclear weapons under the Treaty of Mutual Cooperation and Security signed by the two countries in 1960, according to a White House statement released Friday. Americas. Raúl Castro steps down. Raúl Castro confirmed he was handing over the leadership of Cuba's Communist Party to a younger generation at its Congress that began Friday, ending 6 decades of rule by him and his older brother Fidel Castro. White House retracts statements on agreements with Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras. The president's administration on Friday changed its description of ongoing discussions with Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras, acknowledging that no formal agreements were reached on increasing those countries' military forces along their respective borders. One prisoner didn't want to leave prison after 20 years in Argentina. The 75-year-old man claimed he had nowhere to go and was comfortable with the food and a good infrastructure at the prison. A convicted murderer who had already served his sentence 20 years ago was released from prison this week in the Argentine province of Buenos Aires. The inmate entered the Sierra Chica prison in 1979, but refused to leave the facility, claiming that he felt comfortable because he had a roof over his head and food. Opinions. Global food reduction begins with hurricane forecasts for 2021. The hurricane forecast for 2021 is based on continued El Niño conditions in the Pacific, but there are huge irregularities in the high and low pressure systems across the oceans. Add in the fact that agriculture is being hit with wave after wave of unseasonably cold waves. This has all the fingerprints of the atmospheric disturbances we have seen over the last 18 months. Naomi Wolf said Bill Gates is destroying Western freedom. Liberal author Naomi Wolf spoke the other day with conservative radio talk show host Eric Metaxas about billionaire Bill Gates, who she says is leading the entire world into medical police state tyranny, according to this opinion. Ron Paul demands Fauci disappear from TV from instilling fear. Appearing on Fox Businesses on Tuesday, Senator Ron Paul made an impassionate plea for Anthony Fauci to be removed from the airwaves for continually generating fear. Paul claimed that Fauci has incessantly made claims that are unmatched by the science of his own institute. In his opinion, in quotes, I think Dr. Fauci should be voluntarily removed from television because what he says is a disservice and is very fear-mongering, he insisted. Reflections. Dragon Awakening. The positive dragons have not only awakened, but have also done outstanding work throughout a great part of the dark that once possessed Gaia. Realize that the dragons are your power that has now returned. Your DNA strands are being restored. Your connection to your Mother Earth is complete, and you can now be in her full power again. Be so kind as to take possession of your full power. It's your birthright to regain power of your own life, over your own planet Gaia. Power without ego, power in the form of love, for love is everything. Anonymous message. It feels like witchcraft. Doesn't it feel like the whole world is under a spell? Has evil taken over the entire planet? Don't panic. I have met many people who say the same thing, that getting inoculated was a religious experience for them, and they were strangely excited because they felt liberated. Testimonials in quotes. I was amazed at the range of emotions I had when I received my first injection. I was so chopped up I could barely say my name and date of birth. I literally cried with relief and hope as I sat there. I cried like a baby as I walked back to my car. I feel like a child waiting for Christmas morning to come. Close quotes. I don't understand them. Censorship. Big technologies can make sure that billions of people never see dissenting views. They have grown so big that they can make sure that billions of people around the world are never exposed to opposing views. We have reached a critical tipping point where we are being turned against each other and silenced. They believe what they see because that is all they see. They don't have the option of seeing other opinions. So, to an uncritical thinker, positively accept things seem perfectly normal. Because everyone thinks that way, or so it seems. And there is only one single thought. Otherness is a phenomenon in which some individuals or groups define and label themselves as not fitting within the norms of a social group. It is an effect that influences how people perceive and treat those who consider themselves part of the in-group versus those who consider themselves part of the out-group. That is why civil dissent has gone to hell in a handbasket. No one knows how to have a debate where two civilized people can disagree and still be friends. Now every disagreement seems to end with someone being digitally burnt at the stake. Another crisis. The globalists will need another crisis when their reboot plan fails. These people are going to need another crisis if they hope to enforce more shutdowns. Don't be surprised if there is more engineering chaos in the summer months. But the fear narrative is crumbling because states are opening up and refusing to enforce restrictions. According to Brandon Smith, the US represents the only significant obstacle to the agenda. Conservative Americans in particular have been a thorn in the side of globalists for generations, and it really comes down to a simple matter of moral exclusion. You can't have an openly totalitarian society and conservative ideals at the same time, and in the same place. It's impossible. Conservatives believe in limited government, true free markets, individual liberty, the value of life, freedom of speech, private property rights, the right to self-defense, freedom of religious belief, and the principle of non-aggression. We won't hurt you unless you try to hurt us. No one of these ideals can exist in a totalitarian world because globalism is in essence the pursuit of a totally centralized system. There are people on this planet who are not satisfied with living their life, taking care of their family, and leaving their mark in peace. They crave power over everything else. They desperately want control over everyone, and they will use any means at their disposal to get it. I liken it to a kind of drug addiction. They are like crack addicts. They can never have enough power, and there is always something else to take. As the head of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, likes to remind us, the health crisis is the perfect opportunity to push globalist plans for a total reboot of the human economy and society. Restart, reboot or restart. For them, the crisis is a panacea, a gateway to their vision of a better world. The problem for them is that it is not causing enough damage or scaring enough people. Disclosure. James Gillan. Have you ever wondered why disclosure hasn't gone anywhere in 70 years? There are invisible and seeing negative extraterrestrials. Many fall into the Grey Alliance and the Reptilian Alliance. Some refer to them as demons, jinn, a number of different names in each culture and religion. Many are working with them willingly or out of ignorance. They have taken over the highest levels of governments, relations, corporations, where there are always seats of power to control and manipulate the masses. If you haven't discovered why there is so much inhumanity on Earth, it is because there is non-human interference and influence. The Great Awakening is the realization and release of this on all levels. There are also visible and invisible positive influences. This is the most censored information and full of impostors. The spiritual and technologically advanced external multidimensional spiritual and technologically advanced multidimensional visitors that some refers to as star nations or ancient ancestors, who are in direct opposition to those operating outside of universal law. Now you know why the dark hats are desperately trying to push them away from you. Why they have lied to you for hundreds of years. Imagine what would happen if the masses learned the truth. What would happen if the masses presented the intention to align with other advanced civilizations of the stars operating under universal law, where universal peace, brotherly love, individual freedom and prosperity for all prevails? What would happen if the masses choose unity consciousness, transcending all cultural and religious boundaries? Imagine the quantum leap humanity would take in evolution if it no longer allowed itself to be divided by working with the original terraformers. How quickly could the planet be healed and restored? And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.